ladies and gentlemen, the big China controversy. Viewers, for the first time since Galwan clashes, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar is in China to participate in the SCO Foreign Minister Summit. On the sidelines, the Foreign Minister met the Chinese President Xi Jinping. As India walks the diplomatic tightrope, working on the relationship that has remained strained for long, this is called diplomacy, which involves deft handling changing situations while taking into account the geopolitical realities. But for the Congress party, always ready to undermine the nation for their narrative, it's a full-blown circus aimed at destroying India's foreign policy. And that's not my expression. That's the phrase Rahul Gandhi used to mock External Affairs Minister Jaishankar's meeting with the Chinese president. Soon after, the party revived the JJ Jai, while dubbing the diplomatic engagement as clownery. Congress leaders cited China's support to Pakistan during the recent military conflict to question the talks. BJP has fired back, reminding Congress of its love for Beijing and the secret MoU Rahul Gandhi signed in 2008, but has never made it public. Listen in to the war of words.
China gave them 81% of ammunitions in the last 5 years. We all know that the network-based platforms were given with China. Intelligence was given real time. Very sophisticated weaponry and ammunition was given. India's foreign minister goes to China and says our relationship with China is rosy and everything has been improving since October. Which world is he living in? Is he delusional? Does he not know what has happened? And to what extent will he go on to demean the Indian armed forces?
जब पहलगांव घटना के बाद जब हुआ तो पूरे चाइना उसके साथ खड़े हो गई और मैं समझता तो एयर टू एयर मिसाइल और वो सारी चीजें उनका यूज किया गया है। कांग्रेस पार्टी ने प्रश्न किया है, ये प्रश्न केवल कांग्रेस पार्टी के नहीं देश का भी प्रश्न है और सरकार जवाब देने के बनिस्बत वो कहीं भाग रही है और जिसे कहा जाए एक रोजी पिक्चर प्रेजेंट करने का वो प्रयास करती है। यहाँ
She is asking about China. Congress will have only right to ask about China the day they make that document public which Mr. Rahul Gandhi signed with the Communist Party of China.
The News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Well, on the debate with me, of course, we have Vivek Srivastava, Pradeep Bhandari, Karan Verma. But my first question to you, Ashwini Mishra. And Ashwini Mishra, Supriya Shrinate says that this is a letdown for the Indian army. But may I ask you, Rahul Gandhi today was in a court to actually appear in a case where he had insulted the Indian army, saying that China ne hamare soldiers ki pitai ki. I want to ask you, what do you know about insulting the Indian army that you are questioning the BJP?
I think you were talking about Galwan Valley incident. That is when
yes.
You were also highlighting that S Jaishankar is meeting China after that Galwan. So something has happened there. I mean, you cannot hide the fact. Maybe the words used was wrong, and that's why he was going there. Now the problem, Navika,
is
so
the words used by Rahul Gandhi were wrong. Okay, but the intention is right. So then why haven't you made the MoU with China public
Navika
in the last 17 years?
Navika ji, diplomacy without deterrence is essentially surrender in slow motion, and that is what eventually we are
surrender during Doklam kaun kar raha tha?
Navika ji, if you ask me a question, allow me to answer it, right? Give me some 30 seconds.
But when you give me 40 facts, I will remind you.
No, I'm not giving 40 facts. The problem here is that we have seen how our armed forces has been telling that when we were fighting Pakistan, how China, we were eventually fighting China. And now hum China se jaake gale mil rahe hain, galbagiyan kar rahe hain. I don't know what kind of diplomacy that is. Even when we know that China is the biggest enemy we have right now. And during the Operation Sindoor, we have seen how many countries stand with us. None of them. So our diplomacy is in total failure right now, and that is the reason we are questioning this. Why are you going to China?
Well, Navika ji, Rahul's statement is extremely immature, because if clicking pictures is something which is absolutely wrong, this is Dr. Manmohan Singh with Chinese FM Yang Jiangxi in 2008. So did Dr. Manmohan Singh sell India's sovereignty to China as per Congress logic and Rahul Gandhi's logic? This is where you sell India's sovereignty, where you sign a secret MoU with Communist Party of China. This is where you compromise national interest when Rahul Gandhi secretly meets the Chinese ambassador when we were involved in a conflict. Now we have engaged with China or any other nation on our own terms. Let me read the statement of External Affairs Minister, and I quote, "Our meeting today will include an exchange of views on global and regional issues. This is a tomorrow we will be meeting in the format of the SCO, where primary mandate is to combat terrorism, separatism and extremism, and we hold that there will be zero tolerance for terrorism." That is what we tell the Chinese. Point number one. Recall what happened in Shanghai Corporation, Navika ji. We refused to sign when there was no mention of Pahalgam. This is what is holding national interest. What is surrendering India's national interest is looking at gifting Siachen to Pakistan in 2005, despite Indian army not taking in. Gifting Aksai Chin to China is what is surrendering India's national interest, and gifting the UNSC seat to China is surrendering India's national interest. So Congress party, which has always surrendered India's national interest, should be the last party to speak about India's foreign policy. They have an issue because we are speaking about a national interest, whether it is US, UK, China or Russia. That is where their issue is, because इनका दिल जो है ना वो चाइना के अंदर धड़कता है. तो जब चाइना से कोई आंख में आंख डाल के बात करता है तो इनको दिक्कत होती है.
Vivek Srivastava, I want to ask you.
Yes.
The present geopolitical situation is such that either we can make enemies out of everybody, or we go and start conversations so that we prevent wars and try and get to the target of economic growth.
Yes,
I want to ask you, would you rather that the country goes into war?
Okay, thank you. I mean, for saying that, Mr. Vivek Srivastava, you're not a Chinese agent. For the last 10 years on your channel, you have been supporting talks between India and China. You have been supporting talks between India and China and friendship. So you're not a Chinese agent. S Jaishankar is not a Chinese agent, and Modi is also not a Chinese agent.
Now, when you say
now I'll tell you what. When Papa Trump gives you a kick, you do your Namaste Trump, you do your Howdy Modi, you do your Howdy Modi,
language.
This is exactly
nobody can. I'm sorry, you cannot insult the country. You cannot insult the country like this. I'm sorry.
Where is the insult to the country?
Navika ji, I take objection as an Indian.
When you don't have points to counter me, you don't have points to counter me, you're scared.
No, sir, you have said something.
You are scared.
No, you have said that India was
you want to divert.
To apologize.
You don't have the guts to listen to my point.
No, how dare you say that India
counter
was
it?
Are you
cannot counter.
Are you an anti-national?
Nobody can kick India. We are a
Your
country.
Foreign policy was
we are a country that has its own self-respect, and 140 crore Indians.
He made you do ceasefire. 21 times you said. And now, when he has thrown you off, after your up की बार ट्रम्प सरकार, अब आप चाइना की तरफ दौड़ रहे हैं. ये आपकी फॉरेन पॉलिसी है. पहले आप चिट्ठी लिखते थे चाइना के खिलाफ.
Have they lost the plot?
I don't know. He's losing his mind. I don't know about the plot. But Vivek ji,
say I love Chinese Indian friendship.
You love your country. I know that you love your country. You love China. Very good.
I love Indian Chinese friendship because that is what S Jaishankar is doing.
Now listen.
And Karan Verma, I want to just give you a few facts. There is only trade cooperation that we are talking about. Electronics, pharma, earth-moving equipment, semiconductors, tunnel boring machines, solar equipment.
TikTok will be back.
China has 4.2.
TikTok will be back. Wow, congrats. TikTok will be back.
You cannot think beyond TikTok.
No, you said
that's your level.
So I thought TikTok will be
bigger
back.
than India's GDP is the manufacturing sector of China. Okay? Do we need to grow economically, or should we believe in the recipe that the opposition is giving us?
So Navika ji, this is typical iron fist in a velvet glove. That is what our diplomacy is all about. We will oppose China at Quad, and we will at the same time attend SCO. We will buy oil from Russia. At the same time, we'll pick up weapons from US if need be. That is the tightrope our diplomacy is walking.
on. Let's not get into these monosyllables. If you are so ignorant about our foreign policy,
and you are talking
try
about
and
trade.
take a class first. Because what Jaishankar ji has pulled off here is a
120 billion
we
trade
need
deficit.
a rare earth
120 billion rare earth magnet.
We cannot have Chinese hegemony in the South China Sea.
अरे मैंने हाथ जोड़ लिए, आपके भी हाथ जोड़े, जयशंकर जी के भी हाथ जोड़ लिए।
आपको नहीं आती
मैं प्रणाम करता हूँ जयशंकर जी की
एंटनी ने खड़े होकर पार्लियामेंट में कहा था, we will not build roads. That's our strategy. That will hurt China. Today we built infrastructure.
इनके हाथ जोड़ो
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने आज इनके हाथ जोड़ किया।
अश्विनी कुमार मिश्रा, अश्विनी कुमार मिश्रा,
आपने कहा था, we will not build roads.
Upside chain, and how many square kilometers is upside chain which was gifted to China?
38,000 square kilometers lost because of you.
आप बताएंगे what our relationship with China should be?
You are capitulated with your China.
You are changing the goalpost. First you said S Jaishankar is there to S Jaishankar is there to do the trade talk. Now when I say we are in trade deficit of 120 billion, now you are asking about who gave this Siachen and all. First decide why S Jaishankar is there. First say to the nation that why S Jaishankar is there. If no, you are telling because he is there to do the trade.
Your logic is like a kindergarten student.
Not there to do the trade. If he is there to do the diplomacy, already fall with China.
Our diplomacy knowledge is that of a Balak Buddhi. Russia and United States of America engages in UNSC. Does it mean that Russia and US
One minute. I just want to put this in perspective. There was an SCO meeting.
Absolutely.
That is a regional meeting that India and China happen to be part of. We don't misbehave in global meetings. We go there. If the foreign minister gets a chance to meet the president of China, why wouldn't he meet? Should we be like the opposition and its relationship with the ruling party in India's parliament? हम आपसे बात नहीं करेंगे और should we behave like mature nations and deal with the geopolitical situation that exists in the world. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody knows that the world is dependent on China for supply chains. 1 minute.
Acknowledge it finally. Wow. हिंदी चीनी भाई भाई
आप वहां क्यों नहीं चले जाते?
मैं तो
आप जाइए ना।
अरे भाई
you don't take a minute to insult India, but you clap for China.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case as far as the opposition is concerned. But the question still remains, why has the MoU between the Congress party and China been undercover for 17 long years? They are questioning this government on the relationship with China. Well, what do you think about that hypocrisy? We leave it at that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the News Hour tonight. Good night, be safe, and I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the News Hour at 9.